Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the Mean Girls of Morgantown Part 6. Today we're going to be talking about the tragic life of Skylar Ness. In a strange turn of events, Skylar would actually be a key person of interest 10 days later after her disappearance, when a bank robbery would happen in West Virginia. The robbery would take place in a particular bank in Blacksville, and it said that this robber would walk into this bank and begin filling up the bags and walk out in the backside of the bank, while the teller would actually hit the silent alarm. And even though the bank robber would be long gone by the time the police would get there, they would begin investigating the cameras and reviewing all the information and trying to find this particular bank robber. Not only would the police be involved, but the state troopers as well, as this was not the first time this particular bank had been robbed. And it should be noted that in 1 month, this particular bank would actually be robbed 3 different times. And they would learn that these bank robbers were actually 2 men that were brothers by the name of Derek and Dylan Conaway. And at some sort of twist, one of the brothers would not only be an ex-boyfriend of Sheila, but it should also be noted that the brothers had also hung out with all 3 girls. As not only would they go to a lot of parties together and drive together, but a lot of times the group would actually drive down back roads and smoke weed. And when the police would find out about this, they had speculated and theorized that it could be possible that Skylar's hiding out with the Conaways, but they would find that she was nowhere near their residence as well. And the police would throw out different theories as how Skylar was connected to the Conaway boys. One theory would throw out that maybe she was actually killed as a way to be kept silent because she would find out what the Conaway boys did by robbing banks. And that theory quickly went out the door. They would even come up with a theory that Skylar had actually ran away from home to help the Conaway boys rob banks. Eventually, the state troopers would go to the home of the Nesses and actually go through the same diary that Mary had went through when she was trying to find her daughter. And the state troopers would find this diary and begin reading it. And the state trooper would see that Skylar just had a really big heart. And the state trooper would even make a statement after reading the diary and say you could really tell that she cared about people. And they would learn from this diary that she really wasn't that involved with the Conaways. And not only was she not involved with the Conaways, this would actually recruit the state troopers to helping find Skylar Ness. And by this time, school had already started back up, and already from the beginning of that particular school year, news was already going all around University High. And a lot of kids were whispering and begin these little rumor mills going around school, as most kids do. And Skylar was the top of discussion from every kid as they returned from summer vacation. To give you a couple examples, some kids would go around making rumors that Skylar had run away from her home because her parents were extremely abusive. And other kids would start rumors saying that Skylar had snuck out and ran away with a boy and had completely left West Virginia. And when those rumors had pretty much fizzled out, other darker rumors would start out and say that Skylar went to a party and overdosed on drugs, or Skylar had went to a party and got raped, or Skylar had went to a party and gotten kidnapped. And you kind of get the general idea of what was going around and buzzing around school at this point in time. But there was one thing that all the kids seem to agree on, and it would be the same thing that the FBI and Jessica Colbank would all agree on, that Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy knew exactly where Skylar was. Now, it should be noted that after the conversation and interview with Jessica Colbank, Sheila started hanging out with Mary and Dave Ness a lot more. And it said that she would go over to their house on a daily basis. And during this time, she was constantly asking both parents, have you heard any updates about Skylar? Do the police know anything? And it said that on one occasion, Mary would be approached by Sheila where she would ask to walk into Skylar's room, and would walk inside this room and just begin crying, to where Mary would sit and comfort her. And it would not only be Sheila, but Rachel Schoaf and her mother would actually go to the Ness's house, and not only would they volunteer and help the Ness's look for their daughter, but it's also said that Rachel and her mother would actually help handing out missing people posters and putting them on telephone poles and so on. And this would continue until investigator Jessica Colbank would find out what the teen girls were doing. And she would quickly call the Nesses and would tell both Dave and Mary not to give out any information to Sheila or Rachel. And even though she wouldn't really tell the Nesses this, but Jessica Colbank knew deep down that it was very, very apparent that both Rachel and Sheila were definitely fishing for more information. And by this time, not only Jessica Colbank would be, but every single other person around in Morgantown would be very suspicious of Rachel and Sheila, as they were the best friends of Skylar. And still, whenever people would ask them questions about Skylar, nobody was getting any answers from the two girls, which would inevitably make not only adults but the classmates that Sheila and Rachel went with would start creating these rumors. And even though they would begin at school, a lot of these rumors would start forming around social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. And a lot of these classmates would start demanding for justice for Skylar. And Sheila's response to this is she began posting on social media platforms a lot more, not just on Facebook, but Twitter as well. On one occasion, she would go on a Facebook post and just say, I have no idea where my best friend is. I just know that I really wish I knew where she was. I just want my best friend back. And Dave Ness would actually see this post and he would like it, and he would respond to Sheila and tell her that he knows how hard it is and just to hang in there and be tough. And by September of 2012, the police would really start upping the pressure on Sheila and Rachel when they would issue a warrant to confiscate all of their electronic devices. And not only would they send a warrant to hand over all their electronic devices, but they would also make appearances in their school to give out warrants to investigate their lockers to see if the girls actually knew more than they were leading on. And this would actually start more rumors from the rumor mill from their classmates. And this is about the time that kids began going around spreading the rumor that Sheila and Rachel had killed Skylar. And when the police confiscated the electronic devices, they would find that Rachel and Sheila had not been as forthcoming and as honest as they had planned out. And they would notice on their cell phone that these cell phones would ping off of towers, and it was shown that not only had the girls not picked up Skylar at the time they said they did, but they would also have their cell phones ping not just in Blacksville, but also on Morris Run Road in Pennsylvania, which would be completely nothing what they had told the police when Skylar Ness went missing.